Hey everybody, what's up? Today we're going to talk about Arena. I want to talk about why it's so important to get involved in Arena, and then a little bit about how to approach it from a couple of different angles, even if you're brand new, early game, and don't have a lot of stuff built. Because as I've said in a couple of videos, you're not really going to be focusing on PvP for a while. Any hard focus that you do on PvP, whether it's Arena or Guild Wars stuff, is going to be a direct interruption in all of the stuff that you need to be doing for your PvE situations. You've got a lot of dungeon teams to build, you've got a lot of monsters to 2A, you've got a lot of foundations to set before you really start to care about PvP that much, okay? So you kind of want to figure out how to utilize the things that you're already building to participate in these things until you get to a point where your foundations are set and you can start to move into Arena. That being said, it is very important that you participate in Arena, okay? It is incredibly important for a couple of reasons. One of them is that in this shop where you get these glory points from the Arena every week, there's a weekly Devilmon. It costs 150. 150 points is not hard at all to get, and it's borderline mandatory that you do this, okay? These things are so incredibly valuable that getting 4 of them for basically free a month, you just can't pass up on that. You can't miss out on that. On top of that, you are going to need thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of glory points to come in here and start leveling up all these towers, is how we generally refer to them. All right, so if anybody says, you know, how's your speed tower, level up your towers, whatever, they're talking about stuff in here. So like the Sky Tribe Totem, you see it goes all the way up to level 20. At level 20, it's a 15% speed boost. That's for every monster in your entire account and every bit of content in the game. So these towers apply to your entire roster, to the entire game. On top of whatever else you've got going on, these are stat boosts that you get. So we're talking 15% speed, we've got crit damage, we've got attack, we've got defense, we've got HP, and then we've got some specific attack power for certain elements that you'll start to worry about at a certain point. And these are going to be very important when you're ready to build your Trikaru team, for example. Your guard stone is going to be pretty important. Your attack and crit damage tower are going to be pretty important for your damage. These are very important, okay? So understand that straight out of the gate, it is very important that you get in here and participate in Arena. Now, they've added quite a bit to alleviate some of the pressure that comes with Arena. I know PvP can be very intimidating and it can be very tough. It is very tough in this game. But there's some easy ways to go about doing it. So one of those, I've talked about this a couple times before too, you have this Rivals tab. Everyone in this tab is an AI and they're all easy. So everybody except Amir goes on cooldown when you beat them. So do your rivals every day regardless, okay? Every time you beat one of your rivals down here, you're gonna get glory points. They do give you glory points for beating them. And you get some crystals for beating, or gems. Are they gems or crystals in this game? They're crystals. So it's important to come in here and beat your rivals. I haven't beaten mine, the ones that aren't on cooldown today, but it's very important that you do that. And then you've got Amir who never goes on cooldown, and he'll have a different team every time you fight him. Now his teams are gonna look really scary, but they're really not. He is gonna level up as you level up. His account's gonna kind of scale with your account. But I have never even almost lost a fight to Amir, even when he's got super scary units in there, okay? I think this is more, I think it's for 2 things. I think it's to, 1, give you a place to farm glory points if you can't compete in here at all. And it's to give you exposure to some of these monsters in a less intimidating way. If you run into these monsters in regular Arena, it's gonna be a long time. If someone's got this team, it's gonna be a while before you have the runes and monster quality to deal with this, okay? So this gives you some exposure to these monsters. You get to see what they do. You get to see potentially what kind of problems they present, maybe how to counter them. It gives you some practice, some low stakes practice, okay? So if you're newer, come in here and farm Amir, especially in the first month. I think you get bonus glory points. So, feel free to farm him, okay? There's nothing wrong with farming him. So that's if you completely don't even want to touch the PvP tab. Now let's talk about how to touch the PvP tab, okay? Now this level 12 and level 11 are guaranteed going to be easy fights, okay? But what you can do is you can come in and check every person's defense, because sometimes you'll get a one-man defense. You'll learn there are some monsters that you still have to be pretty careful with, even with a one-man defense. Samath is one of them. But if you go heavy wind, you're probably okay. So there's a one-man defense for us. Here's another one-man defense for us. Again, be a little careful. I think she hits pretty hard, but she's also squishy. So we have a couple of one-man defenses in there. Sometimes, relatively frequently actually, you will see people that are doing what I'm doing and they just have one weak monster as their defense so that they can be an easy farm. And the reason that that's so beneficial is because in your history tab, you can see who has attacked you recently, who has beaten your team. So Cloudy Rocks and I have been going back and forth for a while. They've got an easy defense, I have an easy defense. We've been doing this for weeks, okay? I don't know the person, but this is kind of what happens. There's kind of this like agreement, this unspoken agreement in Summoners War, where you find people that have these easy defenses, and then you can just go back and forth farming them. Let's see if I have any more. I can beat that one, but again, be careful. Here's another one. This one I've seen quite a few times. You'll start to recognize the names. This one I've seen several times, right? So it gets to the point where I don't even have to go in the matchup tab anymore if I don't want to. I've got enough people that I've kind of got this agreement with in my history tab that we're just going back and forth farming each other for glory points. We're still getting just as many as if we were here, right? It's still +6 here and +6 here. So I can either come in here and, you know, get handled by this team, or I can go into my history tab and find all the people that I kind of have you know, done this virtual handshake with, that you keep your defense easy, I'll keep my defense easy. We'll just farm glory points together, okay? So that's a good way to go about doing this, where you never really have to come in here and challenge yourself until you're ready to come in here and do it, because it is going to be a while. Like I said, you've got a lot of things to do before you want to start building units. I've got a lot of units that I want to build for PvP down here. I want to get my Leica rolling. I want to get Leo 6-starred. I want to get him built. I want to get her going. She needs to get 6-starred at some point, probably. Orion's going to be great for Siege. I want to get him and the Wind Jack-o'-lantern team going. I've got a lot. I want to get Ren. I've got a lot of monsters down here that I'm dying to build for PvP stuff, but they're not really going to do much for me in PvE. I'm trying to get my, I got my Giants team, I got my Dragons team, I got Monsters to 2A. Eventually, I'm going to want to get a Necro team. I've got a lot of other things to sort out before I can justify putting resources into strictly Arena. And here's why. Here's why it's not that important, okay? If we go into the info, I'm in Fighter 1 right now, all right? Let's go to weekly rewards. Fighter 1, my weekly reward is 50 gems. If I make it to Fighter 3, my weekly reward is 100 gems. If I get up into Conqueror, where it starts to get pretty tough, my reward is 150 gems and a light salamander. So, and then light warbear and then light jack-o'-lantern, okay? They swap these out, I think, every week to different things, but it's not like you're missing out on account changing rewards in here. Yes, a couple of 100 gems every week is nice, but the game is pretty generous with gems now as it is. As long as you're not buying a premium pack every time you hit 750, you're probably going to have some gems sitting around, okay? Especially while this event's going right now and you don't need to be using gems on energy, because you can just get energy from the events. You're fine. There's no real reason, though, to climb super high in Arena. It's honestly, it just becomes to a point where it's like, it's more about the fun of it. And eventually your account will get to a point where you can sit a little bit more comfortably in the higher fighter ranks, or maybe even in Conqueror. And then Guardian starts to get pretty tough, obviously, right? But some games, it's very important that you place higher in Arena. You know, in Raid, for example, it's important that you get up into Gold, because your entire account's getting stat boost and the rewards are so much better, and there's all these other perks, you know what I mean? There's reasons to be in Gold. That doesn't exist here. So you're not missing out or hurting your account by not climbing up higher than this, okay? And then when you're ready to come in here and compete, you can, but don't feel like there's a lot of pressure. Same with Siege. They've added some stuff. This video is more about Arena, but we'll talk quickly about this. They've added, the guild rival battle. So your guild can farm. This is basically the equivalent of the rivals tab in Arena. So you can come in here and farm your glory points and stuff. You'll have the World Guild Battle, which is actually against other people, and sometimes you'll be able to win them and sometimes you won't. It's not that big of a deal if you don't. You know what I mean? It'll be a long time before your guild is probably competing at a high level anyway. And then the same with Siege. It's like if you can't win with what you've already built for your PvE stuff, then so what? Doesn't matter. You're not missing out on that much. It's going to be much more beneficial for you to get your dungeons in order, get your rifts in order, get your monsters 2A'd, do all of these other things first, and then when it's ready to when it's time to transition into PvP stuff, you'll be in a position where you have the resources to do it. You've got good rune quality, and you will have probably pulled a few monsters that now you can justify building and using for those things. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully this makes Arena feel a little bit more approachable. I highly recommend that you just set a one-man defense, an easy, killable one-man defense, and then stay in your history tab. Clear your rivals when they're available. You know, get your gems, and then in your history tab, just find the people that are doing the same thing you're doing, and eventually you won't ever have to load this tab up again. You'll have enough people that you're going back and forth with. You can just run through your wings. Sometimes Cloudy's on, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll use all of our wings on each other. You know what I mean? I'll have like 10 out of 10, and I'll just start with Cloudy, and Cloudy will happen to be on, and we'll just go back and forth until we're out of wings. So you don't even have to find that many people to do it, right? As long as they're active, you're good to go. All right, so that's it. That's kind of a way to hopefully make Arena not feel that intimidating. We'll do another video soon where we start to talk about some actual team comps and ways to actually get into Arena and start competing a little bit should you decide you want to. But I thought I would go ahead and share this because I do see comments and stuff in my Discord occasionally about people who just feel like Arena is something that they should start later. And it's so important from day one that you get in the Arena and start getting glory points, especially in that first month when you've got the bonus glory points. You know, that new player blessing, I can't remember what it's called, but when you're getting bonus glory points, it's very important that you make the most of that. So if you've got wings, I always say if you've got 10 out of 10 wings, you're doing it wrong. Don't ever have full wings. Get there and farm them glory points. All right, so I'm doing it wrong right now. So I'm gonna get out of here and get to that. Hope it was helpful. If you got any other tips you want to drop down below, go for it, and we'll be back soon. Later, guys.